I want you all to express to Dakota what you expressed to me when I asked how you felt about the movie.
That's an interesting choice for a morning film.
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
Isn't it just? But this is a hearty crowd. These are cineasts.
Yeah.
These are cinephiles.
You can really spend the rest of your day having an existential crisis.
That's right. Especially the
If
mother
you're a
woman.
woman.
It's like, oh. No, this is an extraordinary film on so many levels, Dakota, and and I think what struck me, well, at first blush was this is the writing and directing debut of Maggie Gyllenhaal, and what an astonishing, assured, complicated, difficult material she had to tackle that she does with just such style. So tell us a little bit about your initial conversations with her and her ideas for the film.
Well, I've always really admired Maggie as an actress because she has so much style, and I think she's incredibly brave, and that obviously comes across very strongly in this film. But I hadn't read a script like this ever, and I think part of that has to do with her, with the fact that she is an actress and understands what it feels like to make a movie as an actress, but also her experience as a woman is really brave, and I think that she was so affected by the Ferrante novel that it allowed her to have these ideas and these feelings, and then, she would be way better at answering this question, but I think she allowed what it made her feel to come through in her writing and in her filmmaking, and you can really feel that.
It's very much a narrative about projection. Your character, Nina, is a subject of fascination and a great deal of projection on the part of Lita. Who is Nina?
I don't know. I think that is something that Nina is asking. I think when it was really interesting to me to not have a character that was a fully realized person, and to have a young woman be in a place in her life where it's not working and she's not happy, and she has all of these things that maybe she dreamed of and lives this certain life and looks this certain way, but then she sees this other woman who ignites this question within her of like, maybe there's more for me, or maybe there's something else for my mind to chew on, and like no one around her is thinking about her mind. But that is, I think, what she's so hungry for, and that was a lot of what Maggie and I were talking about. It was her notes were often like, "You're hungry. You're hungry, you're starving." And Maggie would come up and whisper in my ear, with her amazing deep voice. And I guess it was just, Nina is sadly a woman who is so hungry to be seen and acknowledged, and to have her mind and her heart nourished, and she probably never will. Mm-hmm. And I think that is true for so many women and people in the world.
I think the visual language of the film is so fascinating because, again, we're seeing most of it through Lita's eyes, and so you're at a distance, especially at the beginning. I mean, you're this figure of mystery and, again, projection. It's almost like it had a Hitchcockian feel to it, like a Rear Window, like that you're acting out your character really physically with no dialogue. It's almost like you're in your own movie. Yeah, is that kind of what Maggie had in mind? And tell me.
Yeah,
how
well, the beginning of the script, it was so simple, the relationship between Leda and Nina. You would just see, there would be dialogue in a scene, and then Nina looks at Leda.
Right.
And usually you just be like, okay, trash, like that means nothing.
Right.
But it means so much, and it's the most beautiful way to portray that unspoken relationship between people, but really between women. That conversation that you can have without ever uttering a word is, and I think there's so much between Leda and Nina. And for a while, I think that's sort of it's suspenseful. It's like a thriller. You're wondering what's going to happen between these two. Are they going to talk? Are they going to see each other in each other? Are they going to fight? Are they going to have sex? You have no idea what's going to happen. And that I just thought was the most brilliant and real thing. Before you actually meet someone and know them, there's all the possibilities in the world, and that really comes across.
Yeah, it's almost like a seduction. It's sort of this dance that you have that's completely unspoken. But again, I wonder, did you, because Nina is such an enigmatic figure for most of the film, were you concocting about the backstory and when we see you at that distance and you're fighting with your husband or you're frustrated with were you actually doing that narrative in your head, or are you just sort of hitting the mark and making sure that the scene worked?
Kind of both. It's hard because sometimes backstory is something that I'm like, I don't know. And then there's sometimes where it all just comes through and you feel like I know this person and I know what her life was like, and she doesn't belong in this family and she's trapped in it. And maybe there's a part of her that finds comfort in that, and that's complicated. And Maggie and I spent a lot of time talking about, working on Nina and figuring out, everything from what she looked like to that off-screen fight with her husband. But I don't know. I'm weird about backstory stuff and preparation stuff. I don't know how to explain it at all, and I don't have a specific method or it's different every time.
Right. It sounds like it's sort of you adjust to the material or to the needs of the moment.
Yeah.
It's not a particular process you follow every single formula that you have every time. Yeah. The other thing that I think a lot of, I'm sure most of the women in the audience will appreciate is this is such, I think it was, We Need to Talk About Kevin. It was the last time, Maternal Ambivalence.
Oh my God, that movie.
I know, hello.
That movie is so messed up.
But it is, but it gets to some of the similar impulses that we don't talk about, that's so taboo. And again, that's, I think, part of what makes us so brave of Maggie to just go there, And tell me what about that resonated for you? Because I think when I became, somebody once said when you read, Jane Austen as a teenager, you're reading it as a daughter, you're projecting onto but then when you become a mom, everything switches and it's like, oh, But so tell me, where did this resonate for you? What came up for you?
Well, I think, if I'm really honest, I'm not a mom, and I have a million feelings about motherhood. I have a mother, and I have a million feelings about that, too.
And I'm sure she has a million about you.
Yeah, probably more than that. And about her mom. It's unbelievably complicated, and for so long in cinema we've seen these relationships and these women depicted in basically 5 different ways. It's like the idiot, the sexy woman, the mom, the whatever. And there's just obviously so much more to that, and these feelings of, it's just so human and it's so much the truth. And what I've noticed from people, having these conversations is I've seen a lot of people thank Maggie in a way, or just say thank you for allowing me to feel that it's okay that I have complicated feelings about being a mother, and also allowing someone to have complicated feelings about becoming a mother. There's this conversation there's always a weird kind of shudder in the room if a woman says, I don't want to be a mom. And I just never understood that,
Yeah.
because it's, why can't you feel that? And why can't you have complicated feelings? You're a human being. We're like infinitely complex creatures. And there's no world in which everything is going to feel perfectly fine all the time. And it's I think amazing that Maggie did that. But I think the way that it works is that, and I think Elena Ferrante said this to Maggie, it is so important that Leda is not crazy, but that she's just human and she's relatable and you love her. And that is, I think, if you have complicated feelings around motherhood, it doesn't mean you're crazy or you're like a bad woman.
Exactly. Right, exactly, or subversive or transgressive or anything. All these things can coexist. That love, the love of these creatures and the resentment of these creatures, I think we all can relate to that. They can absolutely coexist, not only within a person, but at the same time, just at the same time. It's just so, speaking of sort of being in your own movie, the Nina movie, then you have the young Leda movie, so you're literally in a different movie. Tell us about when you saw the whole movie for the first time. Because you probably weren't aware of Peter and Jesse's scenes necessarily.
No, so they shot Jesse's stuff before we started filming everything else. And so I was there kind of quarantining while Jesse was working. But we overlapped a couple of days and got to spend time together and fell just like mad in love with each other. She's brilliant. And I think if we had been working together on it, we would have like morphed into one body with two heads. We would have become Hydra or something. But it's really amazing because she also obviously didn't work with Olivia, and they never really had conversations about what similarities their characters would have. The only thing they ever talked about was what accent they were going to do, which I was like, that's important. So annoying. They're so talented.
Must you be so damn good? Well, you're talented too, Missy, so I'm sure they're saying the same thing about you. So you did film during COVID. This is a COVID production, right?
Yes.
So you said you quarantined. It was obviously filmed in Greece.
Yeah, it was really rough.
Yeah.
It was. We were filming this time last year. This happened really fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long were you? This is also. I hope this isn't boring, but I am interested. Like, how long did it take you to shoot?
We started filming. I think the whole movie started September 20-something.
Yeah.
And then we finished on Halloween, I think.
Amazing. That really is. That is really. Yeah. Good. I'm glad. Thank you for appreciating that.
Yes, thank you for appreciating that. We didn't shut down once, and it was the beginning of COVID, and that was very cool. I think it was lucky because we were on an island that was so much in a bubble by itself that, we were lucky in that way. It was pretty. No one was leaving and no one was coming in. I have done 3 movies since then, during COVID, and there have been many a shutdown. And it's pretty rough. I'm not going to complain about making a movie because it's like the most privileged job and it's incredible. But there's something about working. It's already pretty isolating to make a film. You're on location and you don't know anybody, and you're constantly like assessing your work, or I am assessing my work. And then now, like, the thing that you kind of leaned on was this camaraderie that you would grow with your cast and your crew, and now you can't go near anybody, and you can't see anyone's face, and you can't register if someone is having a good day or if they're miserable. Like, it's just a really bizarre time to make films. But luckily on this one, we all loved each other so much, so we were in Greece, and it was so beautiful, and every day after work we would go swimming, and then drink a lot of wine.
This is the life of Dakota Johnson.
Don't say that. That's
Don't
not
judge.
the life of me.
Don't judge. Speaking of projection, I wanted to ask you. You know, obviously you've had many breakout moments. I would count Social Network as a breakout moment when you took a scene and a character that, you know, it was an important scene narratively to the film, but the character herself, you made something of her that maybe just wasn't necessarily on the page. And then of course your other big breakout was 50 Shades of Grey, the first installment of which was directed by Sam Taylor Wood. Now you're working with Maggie. To me, Shades of Grey and this one are about looking. You know, they're a lot about that projection and that gaze. And I just wanted to ask you about the female gaze. And is there a female gaze? And what does it feel like as an actor on the other side of that camera?
Of course there's a female gaze. I don't think it's impossible for a man to see a woman. I don't think that is impossible. I don't think it's impossible for anyone to tell a true story. It's just about being honest and being brave. And I think, of course, there's something about a female character written or directed by a woman. Just different things are amplified. You know, the feelings and the thoughts that we deal with on a daily basis that perhaps a man wouldn't have the insight. But I don't know. You know, this movie, until I just made a film in Pittsburgh, and up until that I had made I worked with 5, maybe 6 female directors in a row. And it was really interesting. And I loved it. I loved it a lot. And then there were also really complicated times. But that comes with every director-actor relationship, I think. But yeah, I do believe that there's a female gaze, but I don't think that it's exclusive to females.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Since you've had this run of working on with women directors, is there a difference in the way they run a set? Is there a leadership? I mean, I hate to be reductive and essentialist, as they would say in the academy, but I don't know. Is there a different vibe? Do they bring different values to bear when they're marshaling a crew and a cast?
I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
I can't make those generalizations, at least yet in my career.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's something specific that a woman can do it really depends on who you are and what your values are, and if you're kind and respectful, or if you're a tyrant.
And that is gender neutral, as we know.
Yeah. I really just think it depends on the person.
You know, speaking of your career, your career has really coincided with this amazing sea change in Hollywood that started 4 years ago with Me Too and Time's Up. Are you detecting it? Is there a change in the tenor just all around? You know, is the culture of filmmaking different? Or different enough?
Different enough, no. I don't think so. But it's a sea change in the whole world. So I do feel that there's some movement in areas of more female writers, more female directors are working and getting great jobs, and that is brilliant. I think there's a ways to go, but I like it. I'm into it.
Well, I have to make a plug here for a series that was originally produced for Quibi, but it's actually available on RokuChannel.com, and it's called What Happens in Hollywood, and your mom is in it. Melanie Griffith, among many other actors and crew people, talking just about how, I think it's really about how that male gaze has been baked in to the entire process of making a movie. These are like 10-minute installments, they're fascinating, and your mom is fantastic in it and so candid, talking just about what it was like for her and her mother, your grandmother, Tippi Hedren, who was so brave and so courageous and paid dearly for that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tell me about your conversations with them, and as you're embarking, when you were embarking as a young woman in this business, did they send you off with particular advice or words of wisdom? Or warnings?
Yes. Yes. Warnings for sure. But I grew up on set, so I saw a lot as a kid. And I watched a lot of not relationships, but like relationship dynamics in the workplace. And I watched my mom have really amazing days on set, and then really, really crushing days. And I think that happens to any artist. If you're an artist, you're vulnerable, you're exposing yourself, and it's rough. My grandmother, Hitchcock ruined her career. He stopped her from making a movie ever again because she didn't want to sleep with him. And that is not like a secret. But that is really heartbreaking to me because I find her to be one of the most talented actresses of all time.
Thank you.
And it makes me think about the probably thousands of people who also weren't able to be fully realized as their artist selves and do what they were capable of doing. I don't think I'm answering your question.
No, you are. It was that, and it's incredible. I'm actually cheering up, thinking about all the women who said no and what we lost because they were punished like your grandmother. I mean,
yeah, and all the women who said okay because they didn't have a choice and they had to do something to, put food on the table or to get a job or to, compromise your self-worth because you were so ambitious or because you believed in yourself. It's so complicated. I'm so grateful that is exposed now and beginning to hopefully never happen again. But
if I may, I don't think your generation is going to take it. I mean, I think just generationally, as a I don't know what I am, boomer, Xer, boom Xer.
I don't know any of that stuff.
But I just think that there's something at the tipping point has been reached where I think women of your generation are not putting up with stuff that maybe mine did for whatever reason. Well, I'm sorry, but also yes.
Yeah. I hope that's true. I still think that there are people in positions of power who have a pretty antiquated mindset of how a studio should be run or who should be getting jobs or, what women should be getting paid. And, I think there's this sort of new school versus old school, like horns locked battle right now that is hopefully going to push through it in a graceful way. But that's why I started a company, because I want to make really great things with great people, and I want everyone to have a good time.
We're excited for that. Is that called Tea Time Productions?
It's called Tea Time Pictures, yeah.
Tea Time Pictures. Do you have something coming up you can plug?
Well, we just made 2 movies. One that Tig Notaro, the comedian, directed with her wife, Stephanie Allen, and it's called Am I Okay? And another called Cha Cha Real Smooth, that a really young, amazing director named Cooper Rafe, who won like something amazing at South by Southwest for this movie that he made called Shit House. But he's 24 and he's a brilliant, brilliant filmmaker.
All right, we'll be looking out for those. Dakota, I want to thank you for speaking with me and for being with us here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now it's my real pleasure to bring to the stage my good friends Ron Yerxa and Albert Berger. highly valued advisory board members here at the Middleburg Film Festival. Also the producers of a wonderful movie called The Peanut Butter Falcon that also starred Dakota Johnson, one of the most wonderful performers. They're going to present Dakota with the Spotlight Actor Award. Ron, Albert, it's all yours.
Hi, guys. Am I supposed to still sit here? Should I stand up?
No, I think whatever. It's all good. Well, this is, a great pleasure for me and Albert in really so many ways because, one, it's at the Middleburg Film Festival, which is an unbelievably great festival, as you all know. So, and we also met Dakota very early in her ever-expanding, wonderful career. So we go way back. Susan and I had the pleasure of seeing this film in Telluride, which not only got a wildly enthusiastic reaction, but there was a late night dance party that I don't think ever occurred before at that
You're
festival.
welcome.
Yeah, and Dakota was the center of that. And Albert and I did Peanut Butter Falcon, and when you produce a film or direct it, you see the same scenes so many times in different cuts of the film. And I must say that in the middle of all that, every time there'd be a scene with Dakota, who was the outsider in Peanut Butter Falcon, bringing a whole different sensibility to Shia LaBeouf in that world, you brought such nuance and pleasure to the readings that we really looked forward to every time you'd come in and interact. It was with Zach or with Shia. So it's just really great to be here with Dakota, and Albert, take it away.
Thank you. I congratulations. I happened to see the film just now, so I'm kind of on another planet. But I want to, I want to celebrate you for your courage and your honesty. You mentioned those words earlier. I so admire the choices that you make in the films you take, and I always believe you in them. And we benefited from it, obviously, on Peanut Butter Falcon. You showed up ready to rumble from the very beginning. I remember that, I think your first day there, we had a dinner with all sorts of exotic drinks with those other producers. And next thing I knew, you were off to distant amusement parks with Zach and with Shia. In a way that was a very courageous choice of you. It's first-time directors. It's Shia is a wildly talented but unpredictable person, and Zach, had never acted in a feature film and had to hold down the whole movie. And you immediately bonded with them in a way that really created a family. And the authenticity of those relationships, I think, were really at the heart of what made that movie work. And so we celebrate you for all that, but also I just have to say how much you remind me of Maggie. You seem tenaciously protective of your characters. Like, don't go to Dakota or Maggie with dopey notes, And I just can't wait to see what's next. I feel like in the next couple of years we'll see you back here with your own movie that you'll direct, and just really excited to see what you do next. So congratulations, and let me get the award.
Thank you.
Albert is now retrieving the award.
Did you make it?
Which is a very elegant award, actually.
Oh, wow.
Your very own.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to see you guys. I didn't realize that you were here, and that's amazing. Thank you.
We've been here from the beginning. Nebraska was the very first film that ever screened at this festival, so we've been coming back ever since.
This is amazing. Thank you so much.
This festival has the greatest taste, and I feel really honored that I get this award today. Thank you.